Well, today we have a special guest. This is Leigh McClendon. You might know him as McNasty.
Right.
This is for all you young folks out there. This young man has built up quite the following here on social media, TikTok especially, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. Over 7 million followers. Welcome to the program, Leigh.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is pretty incredible. If you follow this young man, I'm sorry, I'm going to call you young man because you're much younger than I
Hey,
am,
it's okay.
and you're very influential. And they say an influencer, this guy's doing it. But he is a comedian. You're going to see stuff on kids, just funny, hilarious stuff. Old people, cats. If you like cats, I don't. I know David does, and some of the other people here in the office do. Some hilarious stuff. And then all of a sudden, we see a picture of him with a beautiful 10-point buck pinned to his account. Leigh, tell us about that.
Well, always have to correct people. There's a time you can't see. He's actually 11. I always have to. I think every hunter has to do that. Well, I mean, it's social media has been such an important part of my life, and it's gotten to me sometimes to where I'm like, okay, I can't really be myself to the fullest because some people probably won't vibe with that and they probably won't like it. But then I had this realization. I said, look, that picture was an important part of my life. You know, I killed that deer where I started hunting, and my grandma, she's in the second picture. I said I'd been telling her when I started hunting there. I said, man, I'd like to harvest a mature deer, and I said that was an important part of my life, and I had that realization. I said, look, I didn't sign up to just give away who I am. You know, I wanna be myself to an extent.
Is that the picture behind you there on the wall?
Yeah, yeah, that's the one right there. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Is your grandma still with us?
Yeah, she's with us. She just moved in with my mom. She's getting on up there in age, but she seems to still be doing well. But I mean, I figured, one day when she's long gone, I want to have that memory floating around forever. So
That is awesome. Cherish it. Coming from somebody who just lost his dad, you are going to remember
right,
that for the rest of your life. That is an
yeah.
awesome memory. So you're from Louisiana. Did
Hmm.
I say that correctly? I'm a Wisconsin boy.
Louisiana?
Okay.
Oh no, you said it perfect.
Because some people say Louisiana or New Orleans or, I've been to New Orleans, I think once, and that's
Yeah,
one of the few states I haven't deer hunted in. So you grew up there and you grew up deer hunting there.
born and raised.
Awesome. Now, what part of the state did you grow up in?
I've always been in central Louisiana. I moved away to northern Louisiana for a couple of years for college, and I taught there for 3 years, and then I just didn't like it. I kind of wanted to be close to home, so I moved to a town, the old city called Alexandria, and it's pretty close to my hometown, my dirt roads, which I'm used to. So it's kind of where I stay now.
That's pretty awesome. Now, people might not know that you are a elementary teacher.
Yeah, well, I was for 3 years. I was an elementary teacher, but that's also the same time that I got into social media, and then once it picked up, I just hit a point to where like teaching for hours every day, and then doing social media, and then I also did like video game streaming. That's been the thing for creators like myself. It got to where like I didn't stop working until 11, so. I was exhausted. I didn't have time to watch TV, and it was just one of those points where I said, the school year's over. I feel like I might need to make a choice to try one out full time. So
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So you've just been doing social media then for a couple
for
years.
the past year, yeah.
Okay. How do you find that transition?
Um, well, I know it started off. I was making videos just on TikTok, and TikTok at the time did not pay well. They've upped it now of how much you can make. But then I started growing on Facebook, and at that time, Facebook was like, "Hey, we'll pay you some." So I was like, "Oh, so I have two different sources of income coming." And then Instagram kind of started doing well, and then I was like, "Wow!" Then I started getting offers to sell merchandise, and that really helped out. And I said, "Wow, I've got all this different revenue now. I feel confident I could probably pull this off."
So that's the thing I'm going to ask you because it's a thing that fascinates me. We've been doing this stuff at Deer and Deer Hunting since all this stuff started, since Facebook started, Twitter. I know Twitter is basically a dead hole now, but um,
Twitter's a strange place
isn't
right
it
now.
really weird?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's been weird with, not weird, but it's just been interesting. I saw recently where like Elon Musk wants to change it all
He
up.
did.
I don't know what's happening
He
with
changed. It's called X now. So I don't know
it.
what.
Next, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that.
I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens. I've never been a huge Twitter user because I mean I'm a video guy. I make videos, so I never knew where those fit in on Twitter.
Yeah. So what do you tell? I'm going to go off on a little rabbit hole here. What do you tell these kids who see you? I'm like, oh man, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop out of school. I'm going to be a TikTok guy or gal. Is it really that easy, or is it? Did you just hit it at the right time?
Well, I know it got popular during the pandemic, and that's kind of when I started. Not necessarily. I started the deer season of the pandemic, and I just remembered I got on there by accident. I had a friend that tweeted that he got a lot of views, and I checked it out, and I said, you know what? I made goofy videos in high school. I should make like a little goofy skit, and that's actually what I started my videos was during deer season. I did like hunting clips. I had a hog problem coming to my feeders and stuff, and I said, you know what? I've got a pig costume. Let me make a video. And I went to sleep to go deer hunting, and I was in the deer stand, and I said, let me look and see how that video did, and it had like a 100,000 views, and I said, "Oh, that's kind of cool. That was kind of cool to see, you know." So I kind of kept chasing it, and I thought about it yesterday because I've had some people saying, "Oh, you don't have to work that hard. You don't have to do much." And I said, "That's not true because I've posted over 1,000 videos, and I have to sit there and meditate on ideas and try to think of something constantly, man. It does take a toll on your mental health sometimes. And I mean, if you really want to get at it, you know, kind of what I'm trying to do, still trying to do, you have to realize you have to stay consistent and fresh, and it's a chore sometimes.
Yeah, because we've seen it like not only with people who are really creative. Who are the guys who did all the trick shots? Um, was it like Hey Dude or something like that? I can't. You're thinking of
Yeah,
Dude
or
Perfect.
I know who you're.
Dude
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's right.
They were extremely popular, millions of views, and then they just kind of,
Yeah.
I think they got burned out. And my question there for you is, I know what is your educational background because obviously you went to school to get to be a teacher. You've got other things to fall back on.
Yeah, I went to college. My college career was kind of strange because I used to work at a summer camp in college, and I'd work with kids, and man, I loved working with kids. I did real well with them, and I enjoyed their energy. But in college, I never could pinpoint what it was I wanted to teach. I said, you know, I've worked with elementary kids. Let's try that. And then I said, well, I might want to coach basketball. Let me go into secondary education, which is like high school, middle school. And I got kind of depressed because I just couldn't figure it out. So I ended up graduating with something called like an applied science degree, which was kind of like a mixture of all my education courses and some added on like business type classes. And I ended up just I said, you know what, I need to teach. I just need to get in there. So I got onto a certification program, and that's kind of what got me into it.
That's really cool. I'm glad you brought that out because for the young people who are watching this, people who are just getting their way to stay in school. I feel like the old guy saying that, but please do it. The funniest videos I recall that I actually do remember some of these that you did. God, they had to be like 3 or 4 years ago, where you're dressed up in squirrel costumes and
Oh
a
yeah,
deer like what squirrels do, and I'm like, that's totally what they do, you know.
yeah.
And so you got those inspirations from the hunting stand. I know you kind of went away from that because obviously your bread and butter are these how kids argue and the one you're dressed
Yeah.
up as an old man. So you're attracting a demographic that is completely different than our demographic. And
Yeah.
then what did you find out when you basically the photo that we allude to, what did you find out about the people that are following you from that?
Well, I've always told people, it's kind of like when I did post it, you know, there is this mindset of like, man, no follower wants to see their 3,000 mark go down to two, go down to one, go down to zero. Nobody wants to see that. So there is that risk of losing people that like you or support you because you live a different lifestyle than them. And I remember when I harvested the deer, I said that's an important part of my life. And I said, look, I didn't sign up to just change my life. I'm doing something completely legal. I'm harvesting my own food. I said it's just there's a lot of people that just for some reason don't vibe with it. But I've told people, I've explained this to them, that like people that don't do social media, they experience their close friends and family on a day-to-day basis, and they don't have to worry about that. But in my situation now, I've got millions of people staring at me, and it's people from the East Coast, the West Coast, North, South, all over in different countries. And now it's like, okay, these people are not people that share these traditional values that I have. So it's like weirder now because when I post something, I'm going to get a lot of people that are like, that's awesome. I'm also going to get a lot of people that are like, you're a piece of trash, man. Like, it's weird, man, but it's just one of those realizations that I can't go my whole life, especially if it's legal, worrying about how many people are going to hate me because I don't know. It's a weird situation, man.
I mean, I applaud you for it. And I find the irony here, and I think you might too. Okay, so you're a school teacher. Let's face it. I don't care. I don't get into politics. I don't care what your political leanings are. But if you're in the hunting community, you skew conservative. If you're in the educational community, you skew liberal. And when you're dealing with a lot of the people with a 7 million following, what I find curious about the whole thing, from my perspective, doing this professionally for over 30 years, is that the hunting community, not just the hunting community, but the rural, earth-based, hands in the dirt community, are much more accepting than a lot of the liberals out there. Now, I'm not saying that to be a political statement, but I find
Yeah.
it funny that you're getting beat up on it, when as if it was something else, you'd be being applauded for it. If it was a lifestyle choice or something else, you wouldn't be getting beat up on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Because I hate it because I'm the type of person that I don't like to step on toes. No matter what your political stance is, I don't care. If we can be respectful, I don't care. I have friends that swing one way. I've got friends that swing the other way. I don't, I like knowing that there's respect and people can be different, but there are some really radical people on each side, that can make it difficult for anybody.
Now you talked about eating what you kill, which we all do, all hunters. I don't know hunters who don't. I know hunters who share their harvest, but I don't know anybody who just like, oh, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
I'll do that too.
So is it different living? I mean, in a quasi-rural state. I mean, I know you got some bigger cities in Louisiana, mostly on the coast. Is it different there than other places of the country as far as how the locals are accepting of you?
Oh no, down in Louisiana, like you won't run into somebody that's like, oh, somebody deer hunts. Like that's a very common thing. When you're riding around on the highways here, man, during deer season, you'll see trucks in all these random spots, on a deer lease out hunting. It's just that's a very accepted thing around here. I'm not saying that you won't have some people. I think like a lot of people like the city of New Orleans would probably be against it, but I don't know if they would be against it as much or to the extent of somebody in like let's say like California or something.
Deer Talk Now is brought to you by GameHide. At GameHide, the philosophy is pretty simple. Design the best products with the best fabrics and features to help you be more successful in the field. While doing this, they strive to keep their pricing moderate to give you the best value in the hunting clothing industry. I wear the Elimitic line of clothing to keep those nasty ticks off of me, and I absolutely love it. Check them out at gamehide.com. So tell me about deer hunting, your deer hunting experiences. Bow, gun, both. Do you other things as well, small game?
So when I was a kid, our stepdad would take us hunting a lot, and as well as our real dad. And as kids, we would just kind of do still hunting and some ground blinds, not over food sources. But as a child, it's very easy to get bored, if you're just sitting there twiddling your fingers. We didn't have smartphones back then, so it got kind of boring. But then I remember in 2015, I think I was a sophomore or a freshman in college. I said, you know what, I'm going to pick it back up. I'm going to give it a shot. And that's when I actually would sit hours every day, and I harvested my first doe, and I said, oh, that was real cool. But even before that, it used to be legal to run dogs here on government land and all that, so we would do some of that. I mean, I was really young in like elementary, so I never really had success at it. We would squirrel hunt, a lot of fishing, But nothing really past that. But in college and to where I am now, that's really what got me into start hunting. And I've always used rifle and muzzleloader, but I last year actually I got invited to go on a bow hunt, and it was really fun. I actually killed a doe with a crossbow, and I thought that was the coolest feeling to see the arrow go. And I said, "Wow, that feels pretty primitive." I'm sure once I get some more experience with it, I'll look into compound bow and stuff. But that's pretty much the extent of my experience.
That's pretty cool. The dog hunting thing intrigues me. I've never done that. I know that used to be huge down there.
Yeah, it's a cool experience. It's fun because you get a lot of buddies together. You hear all the dogs in the box ready to go, and they'll set you up. And when you hear those dogs come your way barking, it's like, okay, time to get ready. It's neat. I remember as a kid, the only time I had deer show up to me was these two does run by, and I remember I had a shotgun, and I said, all right, they're not that far from me. I said, all right, I'm gonna put the BB on the shotgun a little in front of the deer because obviously they're gonna run into it. So that didn't work out. That was my lesson of no, you got to put it on the deer. So, but
Right on the deer. Swamp music. That's what they call that with running dogs through the swamp for deer. They still do it, I believe. Some parts of Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas. I know that there's some areas where they can still do it.
you can do it on private land.
Oh, you can. Yeah, I know
I
it's
believe so.
some people don't like it. They get very, and I think that's a territorial thing among landowners. But I think it's just like the conversation we were having. If it's legal and you're abiding by the rules, dog doesn't know the property line. Eventually, he's going to come back. So,
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
I think the problem you could encounter too is if your dog kind of wanders onto somebody else's property and all that. I'm sure that can get annoying, but
yeah. So you've done a little bit of small games, squirrels. I talk about that all the time. Um, and I think hopefully you can add some light onto this. I said that you have not hunted until you've hunted a hunted squirrel population.
oh yeah. You said you've not small game hunted until you've done that?
Yeah, I mean you haven't like people say, oh, squirrels. How hard could they be? They're living in a city. It's like how hard could it
Yeah,
be to kill that? Yeah,
it's not like that in the woods. When a squirrel finds out you're there, man, they're going up in a tree and they're going to lay like as flat as they can, and we'll get binoculars. If we'll also run with a dog. My dad used to have some squirrel dogs. I don't know if he does now. He's in a different phase in his life right now, but he would take us, and it would be it's sometimes a hard task to even see the squirrel up there. But I mean, once you do, it's a rewarding feeling. You wouldn't think so, but it is.
and then when you have the fried squirrel at the end of the night is the
Oh
better
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
A lot of people would think, oh, that's like eating a rat, but it's probably the best rat I've ever had.
The best rat. Well, I've never eaten a rat, but it's better than any chicken that I've ever had. Well,
Oh,
this is
for
pretty
sure.
cool. Now, about let's go back to the social media. We're talking about
Okay.
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I'm going to just focus on those three.
Okay.
Tell us what the differences are on those three platforms and how you make them all work.
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's too much of a difference. I mean, the only difference I know is that like TikTok, I know is known for having kind of like a standout algorithm to where you've really got a good chance at blowing up if you can keep it up. Instagram was kind of slower, and I know it doesn't really pay. It used to pay, but for some reason they kind of took their what they called their bonus away, like because all these social media apps now the trend is to pay their creators to kind of keep them around so that people use their platform. And YouTube is I don't know. I think Instagram and YouTube kind of go hand in hand. They've been kind of a little bit more difficult for me to grow on, but I mean, YouTube has always been known as that platform that you can make a lot of money from. But I haven't really seen it. But
Sure. What about
yeah,
Facebook? How would you put Facebook in a conversation?
I've really enjoyed Facebook. Facebook has never really. I think every other platform has had a moment to where I hit a hiccup of slow parts to where I didn't grow, it didn't push my videos out. But for me, Facebook has been really reliable, and they've always made sure that I was paid to keep posting, and I've really enjoyed Facebook. And on top of that, I like that unlike TikTok, I can't post a picture, I can't post a status. I like Facebook because I can post my videos, but if I have like a new shirt coming out, I can type on there and say, "Hey, look, new merchandise out." That's probably been my one of my favorite ones so far.
Have you had any blowback on your hunting content from the platforms themselves?
Like,
Like
are you talking about like
like throttling down. We see it sometimes, like you can't post gun content, things like that.
in the past when I did deer videos? I remember I would in my skits I would use like my real rifle just as like a prop, not loaded or anything. And TikTok was very like, no, you can't do that. And I didn't know why. I didn't know what I was doing wrong, and I realized, oh, it's the gun. I think they've gotten better with that. I don't know. I haven't done that in forever. The only time I've really had an issue was on my personal Facebook account. I posted the deer that I harvested last year, and I think I put so happy I got to. I think what happened is I put on there. I'm so happy I got to kill a mature. I like the word
Right,
kill. I
right.
think that threw it off, and I appealed it. Never got it back, and I was like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah.
But never really had much of backlash with the actual platforms on anything else.
Is there what is your crystal ball view then for this stuff in general? Do you think it's still going to keep growing, or do you think we're going to get hit a point where people are just kind of like move on to something else?
Are you talking about my content?
No, just social media in general.
I think it'll keep growing in my opinion. I could see more platforms coming out, because I mean I know like Zuckerberg came out with a new app called Threads. It's kind of like an alternative to Twitter. I feel like it'll keep growing. If something else comes out, I'll be ready, I think.
That's cool. And what would you do if would you go back to teaching if you couldn't do this anymore, or would you look for something different?
I would go back. I've told people, I said, look, if this is just my get rich quick scheme, and I can set myself up for life or something, I don't know. I like to play pretend in my head. I would go back to teaching just for fun because I hit those moments where I'm like, man, I really miss being involved in the classroom and working with kids. Because I mean, a lot of my days now are just spent alone. And that, I mean, humans thrive for connection or interaction with other people. So.
Do you have you expanded your comedy to other things? Are you doing any stand up or anything like that?
I've thought about the stand up thing. We actually just went to a local stand up thing, and I was like, that'd be kind of cool. And I've had people say, hey, if you ever decide to do it, I've got a club here and stuff like that. And I can't say too much. I'm actually in the process now on being on a popular TV show. I should know if I'm on it. I think by next month. I can't really give out any
Sure.
details right now. But
Well, we're gonna have to keep paying attention to see if
yeah,
you got something exciting to share with us. Um,
I hope I will.
this episode is also brought to you by Moultrie. Moultrie Mobile's Edge Trail camera is affordable and easy to set up. The camera works on multiple networks nationwide and even has built-in storage. That means no SD card required. For more information, visit moultriemobile.com. So then let's go. Let's bring it back to deer and deer hunting, because my producers were the ones who told me that you contacted us.
Yeah.
How did you know about deer and deer hunting?
Oh man, I've seen y'all on the what is it, the Pursuit channel a lot. When I go to my dad's, man, we would just pour coffee at 7 p.m. just watching deer hunting on TV. I said, man, I told him, I said, you know what I would do is if I could be a deer person, like if I could go back to my roots of the videos I used to, I would trade it all, man. I said I thought about it. I'm going on a hunting trip to Missouri with my uncle and dad to kind of just another make a memory thing for me. And I said I'm more excited at the possibility of doing that than I am this possible TV show. I said I've always just been so glued to hunting. That's kind of like my white noise when I go to bed. It's deer hunting on the TV.
Well, that gives us something to think about. You're probably watching Saturday Night Deer Camp, if I can plug
Oh
that.
yeah.
That's our 2 hour block, and we're gonna have to figure out
Okay.
a way we can get him somehow involved.
Ah. Oh look, if it was just cooking the food, man, I'd do it.
There we go. We got a great idea now, so we can knock a couple things off the list here. We can figure out
All
get
right.
me to Louisiana, and then he can cook up some good food. I think that would be a win-win. I think all these guys are raising their hands. They want in on this, so
That'll work.
we're gonna have to write that down on the whiteboard. Awesome. Well, I know where people can find you. I'm going to allow you to say where can they find Mr. McNasty. Let's wait. Where did the name come from?
I was hoping you'd ask. So when social media first came around, like my name is difficult as it is. It's Lay McClendon. I mean, like if I was to meet somebody, say, yeah, just look up my name, Lay McClendon. They're not going to know how to spell that. So I said back then, I was like, I think I was like a senior in high school. I said, I need something catchy. And being 18, your brain is not fully developed, I don't think. And so I said, I need something cool. So I came up with Lay McNasty instead of McClendon. And now it's like my trademark, I guess. So I can't really change it.
Is there a Mrs. McNasty or?
I do have a girlfriend right
Okay.
now. We're not married yet,
Okay. All right.
but
I shouldn't have thrown that out into the universe. That I shouldn't have thrown out into the universe.
oh, I'm not worried about it.
Okay. Awesome. Well, where can people find your stuff and find out more of your comedy skits?
I'm pretty much on every social media platform under Lay McNasty. You'll see me. I look like a long-haired wild man
With
dressed up as a
various
cat.
costumes,
That's right.
sometimes with makeup on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's not proud of that part of my life, but it is what it is.
And Lay is spelled for everybody. It's Leigh. Check him out. We really appreciate you joining us for Deer Talk Now today.
Oh,
Lay.
thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Awesome. For Lay McClendon, I'm going to use his real name. I'm Dan Schmidt. Thank you for watching Deer Talk Now. If you're listening to this, please like and subscribe. If you're watching it on Facebook or YouTube or wherever else, we very much appreciate it. New episodes every Thursday. So until next week, we'll catch you for another episode of Deer Talk Now. Deer Talk Now is brought to you by 10 Point Crossbow Technologies. Whether I'm in a tree stand, ground blind, or spot and stalk hunting, I know the Nitro 505 is up to any challenge. Check one out at a dealer near you or log on to 10pointcrossbows.com for more information.